Good morning and welcome to Sea Fishing with CJ back on the reef. This video I'm gonna talk about lure fishing for bass on a reef. Okay, so if you're new to lure fishing, or if you're intending to take up lure fishing, there's a few things you need to know. Right, the first thing is you won't always catch. You know, if the fish aren't in front of you, you're not going to catch them. Or if the fish in front of you are in front of you but they're not feeding, you're not going to catch. Or if they're feeding on something else than what you're offering, well, there is a solution to that. You can keep trying different lures until you hit one that they're going to take, but it's not always a given. You've got to do your research. There's so many variables to getting this right. Okay, it's not like chucking a big piece of smelly bait out in the sea and waiting for the fish to come to you. You've got to be fishing in a way that is going to create that strike, get that bite response, because it's a sight thing. They're hunting, they see something out the corner of the eye, they turn and they take it, and it's something that resembles what they're feeding on. The variables, well, tide. You know, what stage of the tide are you likely to catch your fish? Now, for me, on this reef, I believe the best time is in about the first hour or two of a making tide. So as the tide is starting to come in, the fish seem to come on the feed. Combine that with the time of day. First light. So you want a tide for this reef that is just turning as the sun starts to come up. So as the sun starts to rise, it starts to make and the fish come on the feed. That's my experience. You need clear water because it's a sight. You're trying to get sight feeding fish, so there's no point in casting the lure out if they can't see more than 6 inches. So that's another variable. You need the weather. If the wind's blowing a hoolie in your face, you're not going to be able to cast your lure out far enough. And even if you are, you're going to be getting knocked about by waves, and it becomes quite dangerous because you are going to wade. I have to wade to this. I need to wade out a little way because it's quite a shallow reef, and so I need to get into slightly deeper water. So in order to do that, I am wearing a set of chest waders. I've got felt sole boots on my feet. I wish I'd discovered those before. They are amazing for climbing around on the rocks. They really are. The felt grips like anything. I mean, obviously, if you're standing on wet weed on top of more wet weed, it's going to slip. But you know, if you're on slippery rock, they don't slip, or they slip very little. So great piece of kit. What lures are you going to use? I mean, you need to have a selection of lures. I'm only really concentrating on top water lures. The reason being is one, a top water take is so exciting, especially if you get a big splash. Combine that with the fact you're over reefs, you're over a lot of weed and rock here, so you don't want a lure that's running too deep because you will just end up losing lures. And trust me, these lures are not cheap. You can pay anything up to £30 for a good lure. The lure that I'm using today is Azorus, and I'll have to read this, Asturi. So I'll show you that. But you will see me trying various topwater lures on this reef. Now, whether I catch or not is not down to the lure, I don't think. It's down to the fish. So different manufactured lures all work on the day. But this lure, well, we'll see when we see the video, see how it works on them. So it's got a nice bit of silver flash in it. It's got a lovely walking action on the surface, and that's what we're trying to do. So let's stop all this waffle and run the video so you can see how I got on. It's a series of 3 sessions on the reef with varying levels of success. Catch you later. Good evening and welcome to Sea Fishing with CJ. Another evening on the reef. Now, you might realise that I've been doing a bit of this lure reef fishing at the moment, but it's the time of the year for it, so we'll be doing it a lot, I think, for the next month or so. All the way up to the autumn equinox tides, the really big tides, and then we'll be back out on the boat. Could have gone out on the boat today, to be quite honest, but I wanted to do this. Well, it looks a lot clearer than it did yesterday, for sure. For sure, a lot clearer. And where I want to go, which is down there. Yeah, I'm casting into clear water. So, let's get down there. So we're going to start off with a Pachinko 125. It's kind of a sprat type colours, and I'm just flattening the barbs out on these trebles, just to speed up unhooking. So that's the trebles flattened out a little bit. We're using the lighter rod, which is it's a Maximus 5 to 25 gram, 2.7 meters. It's a lovely rod, lovely rod. My favourite rod. It's a little bit longer than the rod I have been using and a little bit softer. So when we were practicing up the river in episode 1, if you haven't seen it, it's worth checking out. I found that I got a better walk in the dog action using this softer rod, which surprised me, because I figured that the stiffer rod would do a better job, but I guess it gives a little bit more cushioning. We have got a little bit of fluorocarbon as a shock leader, because it's invisible in the water. And here's the first cast. Let's see if I can repeat my last trip down here and have a fish first cast. Now, the wind is a little bit against me, so I'm not quite getting the distance, but it's getting me out onto the edge of the clear water, which is the important bit. Might walk out onto the end of that pinnacle there, actually. Get me a little bit further out. And the tide is going out at the moment. Look at that, walking the dog action. Woo! Not going to get much in this cloudy water though. Let's see if we can get out onto that point there. We're using this a wading stick or some way of gauging the depth, because I could be stepping into a 6-foot gully here, which I wouldn't know about, and that would be quite emotional, quite spoil the day. But it doesn't feel too bad. And we're up on this nice point. Gives me another, I don't know, 15 metres out towards the clear water, which is good. Now I've got to remember, I have got submerged rocks here in front of me, so if I do hook a fish, if I'm playing one, I've got to keep and steer him out of that. Just tuck my net away so that if I have to move quickly, I don't leave anything behind. And second cast. That's a bit better. That's a bit better. Let it settle. Then slapping the line onto the surface. Get that walking the dog action going. Nice little bit of a splash. Nice side to side. Frightened bait fish. Okay, we'll carry on fishing, and when something happens I'll start the camera again. Right, so I've swapped over lures. I'll show you the lure I've put on now. It's not a Pachinko, it's an S Petite. So might have to change the name of the video if I catch something on it. But again, very, very active walking lure. I've gone to a white one because obviously the light is getting darker now, so I want something that's going to stand out a little bit more. Give it a go. show my net. Always have your stuff ready to go when you're out on the reef, because you suddenly have to move quickly. And there's a whole lot of rubbish come floating in on this tide now. Weird. Might be an indicator that it's slack water. But this is the lure that I've swapped over to. It's a Fisher's S Petite. It has an incredible action for walking. So let's whack that out and see how that goes. Water clarity suddenly got bad. It casts really well. Maybe not quite as far as the 125 Pachinko, but it still goes out. We're into the edge of the clear water there, which if I was a bass, that's where I'd be prowling along that cloudy edge, because that's where I anticipate the bait fish to be. But look at all this caggage that's in the water all of a sudden. That's just suddenly come round on the slack water. I'm guessing it must be about slack water now. There's a boat out there doing the nature tours, I think. That'd be quite spectacular to be out there, watch that sunset. I might move while I still can, when I've still got enough light. You see the sun is definitely on the wane now. Tide has dropped. Look at that. I paddled across to get across here, and now that's all out of the water. I'm gonna move on down over those points there, I think, and fish into that bay. I've got a feeling that the water clarity is a little bit better there. Yeah, and I'm going to do that before it gets too dark. So let's get that done. Let's move across these rocks. This is the best route to go, where I'm not stepping into chocolatey water where I can't see the bottom. So there we go. Look at that. As I say, we paddled across here. In fact, this rock here was just out of the water when we got here. So you can see how much the tide has dropped in the short time we've been here. You might have noticed all the holes bored into the chalk around here, like all down there, for instance. This is a shellfish called a piddock. It's kind of a mussel, or cross between a mussel and a clam. And there's one of the shells of them. They've got like a razor sharp edge to the shell, which they obviously saw into the chalk, and live inside the chalk. Yeah, so a piddock. You know, you can see loads of them, loads of piddock holes everywhere around here. And they were once regarded as a delicacy, but the problem was, to collect them you had to destroy the reef. So I think they stopped them doing it, or people have stopped doing it. But yeah, piddocks. Sometimes when you're walking along, you'll see a squirt of water coming out of a hole in the rock, and that's the piddock doing what it does to protect itself. I do need to come down here and go prawning before the frosts start, really. Now, my felt soles are great, but no sole is going to grip when you're stepping on top of seaweed, so you do have to be a little bit careful. Probably better if I go down this way. Right, I'll put the camera back on when we get to the new spot. So right, not much longer and I'm going to have to start heading back in, I think. Tide is on the turn now. You can see those rocks that I was standing on are back underwater now, and the sun is setting down below the cliffs there. So got enough light still, maybe a couple more casts, and then I think I'm going to head back in. Doesn't seem to be happening tonight, but it's not over. Look at the sun on the cliffs there. I love that. Those cliffs are different every time you see them. Well, I just saw a garfish bill come out of the water, strike at the lure, but obviously didn't hook it. Let's keep going for the air again. I've been getting a few little tugs in that area, and I was thinking I was plucking a reef, but I don't think it is. I think it's garfish. The trouble is that they've got a really hard bill, so they're quite hard to hook. This area here, so let's just see if anything happens here. Let's get that good old walking the dog going. Look at that. I think the other day when I was fishing down here with Simon, he was getting garfish follows as well. Oh, we're going to hit, had a hit then. Oh, and again. Oh, fish on, fish off. Definitely had a hit then. Well, it's another different day. Does look like there's a few patches of clear water out there though. Quite good. Go down to the same spot as before and give it another go. So I do love it here because the light is always different on those cliffs. You know, and as the sun comes over, it will suddenly illuminate those cliffs and they'll be beautiful. Should get a little bit of sunlight. There's a few breaks in the cloud. You can just about see it breaking through there. So let's get down there. All right, first cast. Just on the edge of the clear water. Say clear water, clearer water. We're trying a Fisher's Esprit today. It's a nice one, it's got lots of white, it's got an internal flash. Got a rattle, and well, as soon as something happens I'll start the camera again. There's a sure sign that the summer is over and autumn's on its way. All the swallows and swifts and martins all heading along the coast. I'm guessing they're going up to the narrowest crossing. And there's old Sylvester the seal out there as well, I think. Again, I don't think you'll see it on this camera, but there's a definite black head sticking out of the water over there. Yeah, seal. Well, the water clarity is not getting better, it's getting worse. And the wind has picked up. So I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to give it. This gull spotted my lure. He obviously thinks it's something, but he's not 100% sure. And he's gone. Well, another different day down on the reef. The tide is on the make now, so it's a smaller tide than I've normally been coming down here. I'm going to go to the same area. It looks like there's a little bit of clarity in the water. It's not as clear as I'd like it, but where I'm going to be going, which is down here, looks all right. Trying to make sure I don't get cut off. I don't think it will come around behind me. I mean, nothing that I can't wade out of. Yeah, that's where we're going to head down there. So let's get down there and let's do it. Right, we're down here. Water clarity, yeah, it's not as bad as I've seen it. It's probably, I don't know, a couple of feet of visibility. It's not too bad, the wind's dropped away. Obviously the tide's well on the make. I'm not going to go any further out there because there's some quite deep gullies here. So I'm going to be casting from here. Let's give it a go. The lure I'm going to use today is another Zorus lure. I'll put the name up on the link because I can't for the life of me remember it. Might be able to read it off the back of the lure there. Ast or something. I'll put the name up on the screen. Yeah, let's go. Did I just see some fish activity on the surface then? Something on the surface out there. Ooh. Right, well, let's get fishing. Let's stop talking about it, let's get fishing. Let's film the first cast. See if we can catch a fish on first cast. I'm feeling this lure is going to really fly, and it looks like it's got a great top water action. So, yeah, woo, that goes out beauty. Emptied my spool. Looks like it's walking nicely. It's certainly got a good rattle to it. Yeah, it's walking nicely. See when it gets a bit closer, see how it behaves. Can't see it on the surface. Oh, it's right here, that's right. Yeah, oh yeah, no, it zooms nicely. It zooms from side to side nicely. So I'll start filming again when something happens. Fish on! Didn't see the take, I was looking around. But whoa! Happy days. Going well. Is it an eater? Is it a take home and eat? Ooh, it's going well. Don't reef me, mate. Don't reef me. Come this way. Ooh. Ah! Ah! Well, we saw it. Oh, should have got my net out, shouldn't I? Note to self, get your net off your back. See if we can repeat that, see if it was on its own. Oh, big black ominous clouds coming, look at that. Let's hope that that's not rain. I suspect it might be. But yeah, more that way, weren't they? Where that fish was. Come on, fish. Let's repeat that one, another one of them. Just to prove it wasn't a fluke. Whoa, fish on again. Here we go. Ah, on off. Woo! Turn my lure around. Maybe the lure was back to front. So that's 2 hookups in 3 casts, but no cigar. Not seeing a great big surface splash though. I want to see that seagull obviously is interested in what I'm doing. Look at that nice zigzag that lure makes. It's really nice. And it casts so well. Woo! Come on, Bertie Bass. I've shown the lure to your kids, now I want your granddad. Come along, come along, come along. Right, well the tide is on the make. I've had to move back in a bit. Getting a bit more waves now, which is good. I mean, bass like waves. And it's still fishable. Just wondering if the bass are moving in with the tide or not. Water clarity is still not bad. So dark. We had a little bit of rain, but it seems to have eased off now. It's good. Come on, just want one. Try and varying the cadence of the walk. The faster walk. Just when it gets a bit closer, see how that action is. I mean, I changed the lure, but I've had 2 takes on this lure, so it obviously appeals to them. The only downside of this lure, it is a little bit prone to hooking up. Didn't hook up then. Oh well, keep fishing and keep hoping. Right, remember, mental note to self, get net out earlier. It's only a schoolie, but I don't want to lose it. Whoa. It saw me, didn't like what it saw. Come on. Come to CJ. Come to CJ. Come to CJ. I don't know where how hooked it is. It might just be hooked under its chin there. Look. Come on. Oh, and it's in the net. Yoo-hoo! And it's off the lure. So how's about that then, guys and girls? How's about that then, guys and girls? It shed the lure in the net. So it's just an indication that it needed to be kept tight lined at all times. So we'll sort that out in a minute. We're going to put it back. It's only a little schoolie. Had a little bit of a day in the classroom today. They are spiny creatures. And get it without damaging its gills. Come on, out you come. There it is. A beauty. Release it from the net, I think. So it's had a little bit of a rest in the net. And away! Woo! And it zoomed off. Woo-hoo-hoo! Not a blank. Right, the tide is definitely on the make now. These waves are breaking over the top of the reef and they're stirring the silt up, so the water visibility is not so good anymore. You can just about get out into the clear water. Wind's picked up. So this is the last cast. It's water's got very murky now. Wind's picked up. The tide is getting in behind me there. I don't want to get cut off. So I'm going to call it a day. One last cast, see if we can get a fish on the last cast. I don't hold up much hope, but you never know. You never know. You've got to be in it to win it. But fantastic day. Lovely. Loving it. Last cast. Whoa. Waves are nearly knocking me off my feet, which wouldn't be good. Gannets flying along there. They're under a lot of pressure at the moment with the old avian flu. See a lot of dead gannets all around the country. Let's hope there's going to be enough to get the breeding stock back up again and replace their numbers. Right, that was it. Last cast. Lovely session on the reef. Woo! Let's not get knocked off our feet. Let's not get knocked off our feet. Oops. Right, let's make our way back to safety. You just have to look how far the tide has come in behind me in the few minutes that I've been here. I'm going to get my walking stick out just in case there's any holes that I'm not aware of. I would urge you, if you're going to walk on a reef, you have a stick, or as I've got in my case, a landing net that's the right length, so that I can just steady myself and feel my way, because the water clarity's now got bad, I can't see my feet. So. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. It's been an enjoyable journey of discovery for me. Every day is school day, every day I've learned something new. I've tried out a few new lures. I've been perfecting my walking the dog technique, which I think is the way to go for catching a surface water bass. Yeah, keep safe, keep sane, keep fishing. Peace and love.